Thank you so much to Dr. Asmita and Michael for volunteering yourself to speak a little bit about the boot camp. So, Dr. Asmita, can you briefly tell me about what was the main idea of a boot camp that you had in mind in terms of the learning objective when you first came to speak to me about starting this up?
Definitely. One thing that I realize is chemistry as a science is a very complex subject. It has demands on students for very sound mathematical abilities, and at the same time, it requires a good hold on reading comprehension. And so, not all students are, having that preparatory level when they come to college, and it was important that they not be shocked about it. So, I think a boot camp kind of gives a heads up for them to get an idea of what they are about to embrace. And I think that's where the requirement of boot camps or importance of boot camps, if I may, that's where I find it.
So, what about Michael? Can you describe like how you really
Yeah.
felt about?
Yeah, Michael, what motivated you to come to the boot camp and how did you know about it?
I took a boot camp last semester, or yeah, last semester for Chem 131, or not Chem 130. Sorry. So I that helped me a lot. So I was like, okay, I wonder if there's another. And then I got an email about it, and I was like, awesome. So I signed up for it, and I came to it this semester.
So when you told you started with chemistry 130, was it like you didn't have a good background of chemistry before taking the 130?
I had no background in chemistry, at least pretty much none. So that had helped, and I think the 151 boot camp also helped.
So Asmita, can you explain a little detail about how you actually run the boot camp and how many days it was, how many hours you took?
For sure. So I believe I can specify about 151 because that's the one that I developed and ended up teaching as well. So it was a 3-day boot camp, and the first so what the way I distributed it is I took out the two really important topics of chemistry that is actually, if I may, a fundamental, but also the complicated part where students struggle. And unfortunately, the pace and the portion to be covered in class is so high that it is impossible to pretty much go to the fundamental level and go and explain it in class. And so I chose these two topics that come often, which was one of them was the significant figures, and which encompasses all the levels of chemistry. And then we had some rules about that, and then we did the stoichiometry, which is a very important part. Again, they do a lot of that, and again fundamentals. The idea was not to give them a lecture full fledged, but the pitfalls or the challenging area, blind corners. And so I chose that, and I think those two were repeatedly in my observation the areas where students really lose it and they end up dropping. And then the third one was, which is biggie for 151 again, and I always say is organization and time management. So organizing their lives around that, and how to distribute hours, different techniques of studying, and different styles of learning, their strengths. I think all that is what I kind of went over, and it is something that is going under the radar. I feel we do not consider that. I mean, especially in college, the idea is come and deliver the portion and finish. But I think it's important to give them some idea of what it is or how to study, not just what to study. So I think that was something I feel boot camp. And if I wish there were more people, or if it could be somehow made more available for everybody, it would definitely give them a great head start. How do you think about that? Did that end up giving you a better start when you came to the classroom, like, or did it make a difference which was positive?
I think it did, yeah, because I had some idea of what I was doing from like last semester, but the stuff we went over this semester was a good reminder to things such as rules to significant figures and other stuff like that.
So basically, how did you find the students' response moving from day one, day two, and day three of the
Mm-hmm.
boot camp?
Mm-hmm. I think since it was in a little bit of an informal setting, they were naturally they were not knowing me. The semester hadn't started, so it was a good time to have them introduced to this. So they were pretty casual about, the approaching the whole system. But what I really did is I did an informal survey at the end of the 3 days, and I just asked them to take a piece of paper and write me what things they liked or what things could be done differently. And hands down, I mean, we have the surveys with us, and almost everybody was really happy to be in the boot camp. They had a very positive impression about the way it was done, and they were looking forward to the semester. I think I have two of those students in my class, and we have one on the campus that I saw. And then I just casually asked them, they feel good about it. And Michael is here, so he's representing them, kind of.
So, Michael, how do you feel about knowing your professor even before the semester started? Because you were part of the boot camp before the semester began, right? So, how did you feel about that?
I thought it was kind of neat just to get to know who they are before the class starts and stuff like that.
What would be your advice to students who have left college for like 5 years and 10 years and coming back? What would be your advice to them about boot camp?
I would recommend going to the boot camps because it's going to be a good refresher, especially if you haven't done certain things in a long time.
I think it's a great initiative, and I hope we can popularize this more and get a really higher number of students come and show up in the boot camp, especially for general chemistry, simply because the leap between fundamental and general chemistry is very high. It's instantaneously we are exposing them to a lot of material, and that there is a quantum leap that they have to take, and not everybody does it successfully. They end up having to do that work, but I think it helps to have a heads up and knowing, well, these are all the things that are showing up, and I am better, brace myself. I think it just makes the transition a little more efficient, and hopefully fun learning experience for them.
Thank you so much to both of you for your time
Mhm.
and for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.